Hi everybody. Today I'd like to discuss the principle of light, and also for those of you to understand how light-bearing technology actually operates. I would like to share the understanding of the meaning of light for you, but I will use the first principle of the natural process first, and then I'll explain the rest of it as it progresses from there. So, in order for us to understand the meaning of light, we need to know how light-bearing technology is being utilized in order for the light ritual to take place, so that it can crystallize the consciousness of mankind. That is the agenda. And naturally, humans, prior to having themselves augmented digitally, radiated a natural field of light from within the consciousness through the heart to the frequencies of understanding, internal knowledge, internal wisdom. And so the light that came from that frequency would then radiate in the form of what you think is what you perceive, is what you believe, for it to then become light. So the principle in that is to understand that light came from the deeper consciousness of manifestation or materialization of the internal creation firstly, before it became the actual external creation, which is outside of you. And so what I think and I feel, so I perceive. What I perceive, I give life and light to. And this lights up your creation. That is how the principle works. That's how it's always been. It's never changed in any other way, except what they're trying to do right now is to create a digital, light-bearing, technological process of creation, which means the following. And I'll try to explain it as I progress with this. If the ultimate essence of God is understood, then the understanding of reality is also meant to be understood. That is the analysis. As it was seen that God was or was perceived as the source of the form of creation, of reality, and reality is the result of the form of that perception. And that perception in itself became a belief system, and so religions were born from that idea or ideology. That is the agenda still. However, that's the educated agenda that was being presented to everyone for as long as they've existed in this realm. So light-bearing technology has now become the replacement for the internal reflection, so that light is no more perceived from within and experienced externally and internally. In other words, communication, communion with one another. Now that process of understanding has been artificially copied or duplicated, so that it would become a more technological direction in which the human consciousness now perceives itself to be. So in other words, I need to see on the TV screen that a person that's there who talks shit and rubbish is really the person that I will believe to be my savior. That depends on how weak your consciousness is. If you then believe that what you see is then an actuality. And I'm speaking from actual experience, because just a few days ago I've been around a group of people, or perhaps the mundane general consensus of our people think that if they see something on TV, then that must be real. Just like the movies that they show a imminent danger on their news feeds on the movie itself. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So the very same principle of focus on the artificiality of the digital light frequency becomes the venerated, worshipped light bearer of technology, of the digital Lucifer. So the human society, those who obviously have agreed to become captured and captivated by the light bearer's technology, play into the artificial field of multiverse creations. This is where existentialism comes in, where people tend to believe that They are all things, which in other words, you are a skittle in a skittle box. That means you are the entire skittle packet with the skittles in it. Or in South Africa, a smartie within a smartie box, and you are the entire smartie. So one smartie means you are a box full of smarties. That is how people think they are. They believe in that process. And so the principle of writing a digital program for people to believe, to already be in that state of progression of thinking, requires people to. So I'm looking at technology, I'm looking at people that create programs where you write a program for a specific purpose, and as you write the program, you require a place to test the program out. So you create a sandbox or you create a server, and you then put that program variables in there, and those variables are then observed. And in the same principle, you're looking at the same behavior of people where the same thing is applied. So whatever is being put into the system for those to observe it is then observed. So the variables would be how people respond to the information, and up to how far can people bend the consciousness or the light for that information to be presented to the receiver of that data. In other words, that person that sits and listens and observes the information. And so, in a sense, you're looking at the self-created digital process of becoming an effigy, a living effigy, or an artifact that is used in a magical ritual. And so your thoughts become, and I'm saying this in general, I'm not talking to people who are not here, I'm speaking to you who is present with me on this video with me. Your thoughts, if you have a course, agree to be captured, there's an agreement, okay? So I'm not talking about those who have agreed willingly to become captured or captivated because they don't see themselves or believe that they are anything better than that. I'm not speaking to people like that. I'm sharing this simply with you, and this is part of my observation, that a belief in a specific frequency is required to crystallize the realm for their purpose, to bring in their Luciferic archetype. And whatever you feed into that frequency of light is what they use as part of the venerated effigy. It could be very similar to the element of Baphomet, where Baphomet is really an entity that consists out of things from pantheism, such as the hooves, the horns, or the skin, the fur, and then things from Greek, where the breasts, for example, or the sex organs, these things are all taken from certain places. I mean, they've taken John the Baptist's head and turned it into an effigy for the Templars, which they've added the horns onto, and they placed it on a silver plate, which was the lunar magical ritual of ritualizing a person that was renowned to be in Christian lore. Okay, so there's a lot of this magical, heavy magical influences and frequencies that have been put together to make up something else. And in the same token, you're looking at people who observe and experience and give food as in thoughts, to ideas. They create their own thoughts and ideas, their feelings of what they think the end of the world should be like, what they are afraid the end of the world will look like. Ideas such as the imminent close end of one shot dead, everyone collapse, type of thing. Everyone's got a perception of an idea of what they think it should be, and it's those perceptions and ideas that become manifestations in this realm, because the realm is so crystallized right now. Now, how did it become crystallized? Well, we know that metaphysically, if light is a beam of light is shone through a crystal, then it refracts into many more forms of colored light, which is the bent light frequency, which then gives you a watered down, different variable of light. In other words, you then experience light in its reformed manner. And so the same thing applies with the New Age, that we are drowned in, because they're using water as a ritual, water as in the Piscean age, as the device to bend the light, which is within the consciousness of man, every man, woman, and child that is human, that has their souls and their auric field intact, that have not captivated themselves or allowed themselves to become captivated. Those, however, who have willingly have done that. I'm not talking about those who were threatened and abused to succumb to it. I'm not talking about people that are victims of it. I'm speaking about people who have willingly have just become one to be part of that thing, because just because I see it on TV, it must be good, type of those people. Okay, so in that way, the light, as it becomes refracted, in other words, as it becomes the rainbow colors of the Lucis Trust, which means they have an assigned priest for every ray or color, and in every ray or color there's a controlling mechanism that means something in the wheel of Schwab's reset. And so every part of that wheel that is something is a sector that is being dominated and controlled by the one that is in control of that specific ray. And I know that they are specifically hammering on Maitreya, or trying to push this Maitreya entity into being. Doesn't actually exist. It's the same as Metatron. It is the exact same thing. It's just another name for some Jesus wannabe Buddha type of element, which means it's another thing that has a lot of additions added to it to make it appear as if it's something else, something new. And that then becomes the belief system of the rainbow serpent, which was there once upon a time, where the Quetzalcoatl was then brought in the same principle. And that as a mythology had, as soon as it arrived, or people had begun to believe in their own patterns of belief, and so the light had become fractured yet again, a fall had then taken place afterwards. That fall is not a physical fall that had taken place, it's a consciousness fall, drop in awareness. So it's not like we've been in this position brand new. This has happened a lot. There's been a climax, and then there has been a descension in terms of awareness to how the internal light operates within the self. And even before that, the whole ideology or belief in religion or Christianity takes us even further back, where the same thing must have happened with Greek lore and Romans and all of that stuff. And the Christians that had started to become aware of their consciousness had then started breaking away and created their own beliefs and religions from there, and the same thing happened. A fractured or fractaled breaking of the light that creates millions and millions and millions of different colored lights on the spectrum to present yet again something new that has always just been a reworked form of something from the origin or the original aspect. And so the same principle keeps repeating itself in a pattern over and over and over. And so the rainbow serpent with the 7 rays, or the Lucis club like I call them, work on the principles of how light is formed by the light-bearing technology itself. And so the light-bearing technology is just merely the principle of where you place the importance of yourself in relation to technology. It's not so much that your phone has now suddenly become a transformer and it's going to kill you or assassinate you at night. It's not that. It's about where you place yourself in relation to what you've got in technology. And unfortunately, this is not just about going and throwing your everything that is technological out of your place. Granted, if you want to live like a Buddha inside of the mountain, go for it. Go knock yourself out. Go live like that and escape everything. I'm talking about people that have given themselves into a willful agreement by allowing the pen to draw the blood, the drop of blood, which is the signature of you signing your soul away. I'm talking about those that did it willingly, because it's not because they didn't know any better, it's because they just don't care about themselves as something better, or maybe they were dumb. Who knows? I'm not gonna dispute and splice hairs here. So that drop of blood, or that signature that you have basically relinquished control of your soul over to something else that you believe is bigger or for the greater good of all, type of ideology. And it's those people that have become crystallized within the field of the system overlay. So the system overlay has now become crystallized. Historically, the mythology or the story of people that were crucified because they chose not to be part of an agenda is the same thing. Blood was sacrificed, and the blood itself is very important as a ritual where you use it as a form of agreeing to a contract. And so all of the information that I'm telling you right now has already been mentioned on my channel, in all of my videos. I've deliberately only given small parts in each video about some form of ritual that takes place because of the magnitude of the information. So it's not like what I'm telling you is foreign to you. So sadly, the idea and the belief of the crucifixion, or the crossing out of the consciousness with the drop of blood, putting yourself on the cross, is another ritual to allow yourself to be there in the program of the greater good. That is unfortunately part of the process. And it's the belief of martyrdom that helps to crystallize the frequency of the realm even more. Now, I've brought out a while ago a book review on the exact plan of how the inner workings operate to maintain this crystal realm. And I would advise for you to go there and to re-listen to it again if you've not, or if you've not, please go and listen to that book review again, because in that book review it speaks about 2 messiahs that are coming into being, which means that is what they're trying to present. You as the mundane lower messiah involved in a group of, I'm not saying you, I'm saying generally, mankind must become the one messiah while the entity becomes the other messiah, the archetype. But remember now, the story goes, the messiah needs to be sacrificed. So that is the convoluted story around the crossing out of the consciousness by way of light-bearing technology, which is digitally operating in the same frequency as how your inner light is supposed to have worked or works, and you've now not agreed to allow yourself to be anything more than that, and basically have replaced the internal consciousness with something that is digital. So the whole idea or the principle of bringing in the transhumanism has already started, by already just giving over on a spirit level or a soul level your soul to something else that you believe is for the greater good, and you then sacrifice and allow yourself to become sacrificed as part of the digital realm in which the artificial light bearer presents itself to be. And so, is it possible to change anything at this point in time? No, unfortunately not. However, if you are here and you are still listening to these works that I bring out on my channel, like, share, and subscribe. I feel like I shouldn't even bother saying that, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, share, and subscribe, so that if you are where I am, then, and you want to share the information, go ahead, go share it. Those that don't want to look at it, that's their problem. That's their issue. It's not my issue. It doesn't do anything to me. It only helps you to find more people to be connected with, so that you are able to have a human-to-human interaction with one another. Even if we can talk with one another, it's the same thing. In other words, I leave this with you. Understand that the overlay has now become crystallized. Understand that the overlay has been locked into place with the Kabbalah, Tree of Kabbalah, which has been going on like that for some time. Understand that that is where it is. And what are you able to do right now? Go within, connect with yourself, do good things. That's all. Learn to become a friend of yourself first before you try and seek it from someone else. Learn to become in love with the consciousness of who you are before you try and seek it from someone else. Because once you start to do it within yourself, you're able to melt the crystal form of the overlay where you are in the world. So I leave this with you. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Bye.